The Monty and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
And they have to resort to telling truths, Tommy Rich, talking about my mother, talking about where I came from. You want to give a history lesson? I'll give you a history lesson. Kelly Wolf, Wolfie D, he's all the same person. When you talk about Kelly Wolf's mother, you're talking about Wolfie D.
And here we go, the original white boy that came out sagging, not bragging, don't be hating, cause I'm spitting the truth, still livin' in color, from rush your mother, utilize a hubcap, I'm like any other. Back in the day, I was NOD, and I was P to the G, plus the 1 and the 3, in case you forgot, they call me Wolfie D, been cloned and copied so many times, tight suckers taking credit for what is mine. You know who you are without me name dropping wrestling's first white boy coming out.
The domination rap, I did all that shit, and they still want the two and not just the one. But I'm telling you, this one made the fucking team.
It makes your ears get infected. Mad skills, no faking. There is no one great. Cause I'm bringing more folks than OB1 or later. Not here to play games, so you better beware. You don't like me, so what? I really don't care. Like
All right, welcome. Wednesdays with Wolfie D once again. Merry Christmas, everybody. I hope your holidays are great. I hope your Thanksgiving was good. I know I've skipped over that, but want to say happy holidays. The new year will be coming soon, and I hope 2022 is going to be really good for Wednesdays with Wolfie D, and also Live and in Color with Wolfie D. On any podcast that you listen to. That one's 12 at noon. Of course, this one Wednesday at 10 p.m. Although you can listen at any time. So the other day, Monty sent me a text and said, "Did you hear what Savio said about you?" And I said, "No." And Savio had been on the Live and in Color show, a few weeks back, I guess it was. And so we had a good conversation. So he brought up a story about me in Puerto Rico that Monty and them did not know. Fact of the matter, Savio, he had heard, because when he came back, he just heard that, man, this American kid icy hot this guy in the eyes, beat him up and left. But I figured, seeing that, and I could talk about, because let me tell you something, folks, it's really not that easy to sit here and talk to yourself for an hour once a week and make it the least bit entertaining. So this gave me a little bit of something to talk about. I figure I'll tell that story, but also just tell our whole little how I got to Puerto Rico and all that. So let's go to Puerto Rico. So it was November of 1994. Dutch Mantel, who was the booker, now they call it writer for those of you that don't know what the booker is. So Dutch calls us up and he says, "Hey, you guys want to come to Puerto Rico?" Well, as you know, we were in USWA, getting a little run there, but we kind of felt like we needed a break. Of course, I don't think Randy was too fond on that. But we wanted to venture out from Memphis. We had never, except for the small little time we were in Mexico, that was the only other place we had really been except for our territory. So, going to Puerto Rico, now, you got to remember, this, like I said, this was 94, and I think it was 88 that Bruiser Brody was stabbed in the dressing room, and the invader was the one that killed him and got away with it. So there was all these, you figure, and I'm 20 years old at the time, and you hear these stories of guys going, man, be careful down there, be careful down there. You know, it puts a dark cloud over the whole experience, but yet I still wanted to go, and Jamie wanted to go, because it's a place you can go and learn. It's a lot like the Memphis territory was, because they didn't just wrestle, you know, once or twice a week. It was an actual, you know, circuit territory. So I wanted to go, even though, you know, there was a little bit of fear involved. I'm not gonna lie, that, you know, a 20-year-old kid going down there where you hear, man, and I believe there's a story too about the Batten twins going to jail down there. It's just not something you want to do. And so anyway, we get down to Puerto Rico, and I think the pay was, I want to say it was like $400 a week. And you didn't have to do anything. I mean, you just basically had to pay for your meals, although the room that you were in, you didn't pay for it, but it was called the Dahlia, and most of the boys stayed there, except for the ones getting really taken care of. This was a dirty, rundown hotel, and for Puerto Rico, that's the level of that is even lower. So you got, not kidding you, cockroaches this big. I had heard that before, but I saw it myself when I got there. So you're put up in this you know, roach motel, and I think it was either Wednesday through Sunday or Thursday through Sunday was the loop. I want to say Wednesday. So you're working all those days, but other than that, there's really not a lot to do. You know, you don't speak the language. You know, there's some American speakers down there, but this, like I said, 1984 is different than whatever times are now. And you also must remember that you're not in a real like tourist area. I mean, you're going into some areas that are where the people live. So you're staying at that hotel, and like I said, not a whole lot to do. It's kind of a rough place in some areas. So again, just setting up the fact that it can be a little bit scary and intimidating. It was for me. I wouldn't hide that at 20 years old. So the fans in Puerto Rico are something, you know, different than I'd ever seen, but I'd also been warned on that too. Most all of the events, they didn't have ringside seats. They had bleachers, and there was one, I know it had a cage, so the people couldn't get to you. That's how rough it was. The Bayamon baseball stadium, you had to literally, as a heel, which we were, you had to run, when it was your time to go, run out of that dugout towards the ring on the pitcher's mound. Because, as a lot of people have heard, they would throw all kinds of objects at you, some nasty shit too, batteries, just all that. So then when you come back, if you've got any kind of heat, you do not want to go back in that dugout, because they've got a bead on you. They see you coming. When you run out, you know, they got to catch you, but it's coming back's a whole different story. So what you would do was you go all the way down the right field line and out the gate. And we're talking a major league field here, or a pro field, you know, in Puerto Rico. And then back down around back to the door that led back under to where the dressing area was. So we're talking a little hall there. Well, I'd also always heard that you didn't want to be on last and get heat. And for some reason on this night, Dutch decided it was the thing to do to put us on last and end with some heat. And we're doing the deal, and I noticed that the people are starting to come up out of their seats and come towards the ring, okay? And we're beating up, I believe it was Mike Anthony and a guy named Dobie Gillis, both from Canada. Mike is no longer with us, rest in peace, Mike. So I noticed that, and I'm like, Jamie, we gotta go. So we get out of the ring, and they're not like attacking us at this point, but we make our way through the little bit of crowd that there is right there, and get to, I guess, about third base, okay? Because, like I said, pitcher's mound, third base. And I look around, and there's got to be 20, there's a group of more than that, but a group of about 15 or so were actually coming towards us, as to where we were kind of fast-paced walking to get down to that gate in right field. So we kind of pick up the pace a little bit. As we pick up the pace, they pick up the pace. And we pick up the pace and they pick up the pace. And I remember looking back and some of them are running now, coming from behind this other crowd, and they're running. So that's when I told Jamie, I said, go, motherfucker, go. And we are literally, it was like, I look back and it was like being chased by a pack of dogs. I mean, they were pissed, they were coming at us. And we were running and already blowed up from the match. So now we're having to sprint down to this thing. And he said, where are we? You're further down. And he's like, because he knew I'd look back or something. And he said, where are they? And I say, I don't know, but don't fucking stop. And then we're running. We finally make it, run back down around to the door and get in. So that was like, what in the fuck? Why did y'all put us on last like that? So, that was one of the first nights in and one of the first experiences of it. But just I mean, like I said, you got to remember, this was 5 years after the Bruiser Brody thing. So that was intimidating, man. That was intimidating. And I had never been chased by a mob of wrestling fans before. So that was wild. Which leads me into my next funny story. I believe it was the same night. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty positive it was the same night because Abdullah was on that card. And somehow, and I'll tell you, Abdullah the Butcher as a kid to me was one of the most scariest, and still I think he's a scary looking dude in my eyes. I mean, I know he's, in a wheelchair and stuff now, but I mean, that was a big dude. And those eyes and all the scars and just the look on his face. I mean, that was a scary dude to me when I was little, man. So Abby's on the card, first time I'd ever met him. And I don't know that I really said anything much. May have introduced myself at the when we first get there as what you do. And somehow at the end of the night in the locker room, it's just me and Abby, and all of a sudden I hear, and he's changing, okay? He's getting ready to get in the shower. He's got a towel on or some shorts or like trunks or something like that. But I'm not paying him any attention. I'm kind of packing my stuff up, and I hear, "Hey, champ," and I look over at him. "Hey, I need you to do me a favor." And I was like, okay, it's kind of strange, but what is it? Okay. I said, "What's up?" And I need a little help washing my back. Man, I don't know what the look on my face was. Still trying to be respectful, still trying to process what this big, crazy, legendary hardcore wrestler with this high-pitched voice is asking me to do, okay? And I'm thinking to myself, and I remember everything I said before, 20 years old, a little intimidated, all the stories that you hear. I had just been chased by a mob of people, and I'm thinking, what kind of fucking crazy place am I in? So I think to myself, and this is all in a matter of a couple of seconds, I'm dragging it out to let you know exactly where my mind was. But I'm thinking, okay, if I say no, is he gonna flip out on me? Or, this is Abdullah the Butcher, I don't know this dude. And if I say yes, how fucking icky am I gonna feel? So I said, sure. So, and as I said, the man was not naked, but this is still a very, very awkward situation. So he walks into the shower and I stay seated, let him do whatever he has to do first. This was so awful. And so I come in there and I honestly had this bar of soap as loose as I could have it in my hand and just kind of like I'm finger painted. It's not like a scrub. It's like a, God, I fucking don't want to be touching this guy. And so anyway, I made it as quick as possible, and I got my stuff and I left. But it was funny. I don't know if that was his way of ribbing me or what, but that's what I've never really talked about. I think it's funny though, all these years later, because I know how I felt inside. It was pretty crazy. So the story that Savio was talking about kind of was set up like this. Like Savio kind of knew, like I said, he wasn't there and only heard a couple of things, but I knew, what led up to it. Because that's one thing Savio said on there is I'm not sure something happened and then this happened. So what led up to the icy hot incident was, it was TV, and we were working this pretty big Puerto Rican guy. Now these were like job guys. These were not any of the star guys, okay? They were there to put people over. And then the other guy was a smaller Asian guy. I'm not sure if he was Japanese or Chinese or what. But I did know that the one guy was like a security guard or something like that on the side. And so Dutch comes to us and he says, I don't want you to give these guys nothing. He said, nothing. Don't give them nothing. I need you to really get over, okay? Now, what I know now and what I knew then about what that really meant to do is completely different, okay? Having said that, we go out there to the ring. There's no beef. There's no nothing. And we're just working with the guys. And we were not as aggressive as we should have been. And there was a spot or something where I gave him my arm and he just started kicking me. And I sold for him. And I think even maybe took another bump here or there. Anyway, the Asian guy comes in and we wrap it up, doing stuff to him. And I don't think we gave him anything. Boom, 1, 2, 3. Come back to the dressing room. Now, then, and in that building, the heels run one side, the babyface run another. You did not see each other until you got in the ring. So we come back to the heel dressing room, and Dutch lights into me like I done stole something from him. I told you not to give him nothing, god damn it. Blah, blah, blah. Just going the fuck off. I mean, jeez, I thought we beat him pretty strong. As I said, knowing now what what I didn't know then, I shouldn't have given him that much. But I guess breaking in, I was always kind of taught, hey, if you just beat somebody, not give them much, who did you beat type stuff. That's why they quit doing squash matches like on WCW and WWF back in the day. It's because they're boring. You knew that guy dressed normally versus this guy that's got a gimmick and all that kind of stuff. So you knew who was going to win. But anyway. So I was always taught, give them a little bit, even though you're gonna beat them. I mean, because what did you beat, and how entertaining was that? So at any rate, Dutch lights into me, and so the whole next week, I got ribbed about it big time from the guys, from everybody. You let that motherfucker get you. You fucking scared of him, blah blah. You should have took it back. Blah blah. And so. Then I find out, in which this made no sense either. Why would you book 2 guys you're trying to get over against 2 job guys 2 weeks in a row? Other than to, I don't know, because of the ribbing or something. Let's see what happens this time type stuff. Maybe I felt like it was a setup. Because like I said, it was a big guy, man. It was a big guy, and I was nowhere near the size I got to be in the business. I was, 20 years old, like I said. So now I'm hearing he's gonna stretch your ass. He's gonna stretch your ass. Okay, hearing that all week. All right. So then that gets me thinking, and again, let's go back to what I said. The whole time going there, even there's a little darkness about going there. There was for me, and I know there was for other people because I've heard American guys talk about it. But I'm thinking, I ain't letting this son of a bitch whoop my ass here in Puerto Rico. I'm not doing it. And I wasn't sure that straight up if I could take care of him. I've never been one to be too fair when it comes to like a street fight. And to me, that's what this was fixing to turn into, because of all the ribbon, and I felt like people were gassing him up, and I know I was being gassed up. So that day, I go down. There was a bar called the Blue Dolphin. It was right down the street from the hotel, literally walking distance. You could see it, and it hung over the ocean. Very nice. And so I go down there before the show and start having a few drinks. Yes, I said I was 20 years old, which is Puerto Rico. When I was down there, I would drink vodka, Kahlua, Pepsi, and milk. That was all combined to like a chocolate milkshake. Sounds gross, try it. So I sat there and I drank some of those. I'm thinking, what am I gonna do here? What if this guy just beats the fuck out of me? You know, and I don't want that. I don't want that to happen. So I came up with this plan and I had a few. I had to narrow them down. Put icy hot on this finger and on this finger. Excuse me, this hand. And I didn't tell Jamie. And this was, right before we was fixing to walk to the ring. And I locked up the dude. He takes my arm. Excuse me, it was this hand. And I dug that icy hot. Legitimately dug my fingers into his eyes and mushed it all around. Wiped this as best I could. And obviously this guy can't see anything. And bam, bam, I started hitting him. A couple of times, I admitted, I was down there drinking. I think I swung one big time, lost my balance, fell down, but he still couldn't see. Go pow. So he was bloodied up good. Now he did, when I slipped that time and went down, he was able to feel me and put me in the corner, okay? And Jamie came over and started hitting him in the side with the ridge of the hubcap, not the flat part, the ridge, started hitting. By that time, though, the dude was already bleeding, and bam, finally he just got out of the ring because he was all bloody. And man, I just remember being like so hyped. I told you there was like that place with the cage, and this was one of them. So I took the hubcap and threw it like a frisbee at the fans and everything. I mean, it was just pandemonium, like, because the people know when something like that has gone crazy or whatever. So the people were just lit. This dude was pissed, and he's walking back to the back. We get back to the back. Of course, Dutch is on me again, and a couple of the Puerto Rican guys, amigo, you put the big A in his eyes. You cheat, man. You cheat. And then they were pissed at me. So that was the outcome part of it that I never thought of. The young man in me didn't think of that part of how reckless that was. Because like I said, I didn't tell Jamie what I was gonna do. So the next thing you know, we look out of the dressing room and there's about, just spread around the arena, I guess there had to be 15 cops. We're talking the clear shields, the helmets, and they're all just kind of spread out standing around. So we're like, what the fuck? And I said earlier, the guy was like a security guard, rent-a-cop, whatever you want to call it. And so we thought, this son of a bitch, these are his fucking buddies, and they're here to get us. And I'll never forget Jamie being in the stall in the locker room with his feet pulled up so that you couldn't see his feet under there. And he's hollering, I ain't going, Wolfie, I ain't going. And there was like a window up above there that he was contemplating trying to crawl out. So what we eventually find out, this is still before we leave the arena, they're there to get us out of there and safely back to our hotel, or at least just get us safely off the property. Because what had happened is the guy that I did this to went back to the dressing room, got in his bag, pulled out a gun, and said, I killed Wolfie. So he was going to shoot me. So those police officers were there to get us out, to protect me, mainly. I don't know how much danger Jamie was in. I'm sure they wouldn't have discriminated, but or he wouldn't have discriminated. So we get to the hotel, and we go to bed. And first thing in the morning, I'll never forget this, is I go out right outside the hotel, there was a payphone, and it was raining. And I'm standing in the rain, and I called up Dutch, and I said, Dutch, man, what should I do? And he said, well, Wolfie, you cheated and did that, and I don't know if cheated was the word, but you put icy hot in the guy's eyes, man. I don't got your back on this. And I said, all right. Went straight to the airport and flew home to Tennessee. So the after story of all that is that this guy went and showed his dad, who was some maybe military or just macho guy or something, and they came looking for me that day, but I had already made it to the airport and was gone. Now, some of the guys said they were going to beat me up. I've heard some say they was going to kill me, but that's what Savio was hearing when he came back, that, you know, I did that and booked. So he didn't know the whole story, so I figured I would give it, because it's a crazy story, and looking back on it, because I know Dutch obviously wasn't happy about it. Kind of made him look bad, I'd say, bringing us in and then that happening. But as I said, as a young kid, I made a mistake, because like I said, it was reckless. It was reckless on my part, my safety, my partner's safety, the way they viewed maybe Dutch even. And I would have loved to. I loved wrestling in Puerto Rico. It was fun, and I would have loved to have stayed longer. So, you know, as a 48-year-old man now, I can look back on it and say that was extremely reckless of me to do something like that. But at the same time, a little bit of fear was there, and just being young and being PG-13. I don't know. We did some crazy stuff sometimes. And luckily, I got out of there before I was found. But we're gonna come back. I got another segment for you.
Do you treat your dog as part of the family? Well, so do we. So why not celebrate your pup's birthday with the ultimate party box? Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Party Pup Info, and let us make your pup's party or any celebration perfection.
You need a body shop? You need engine repair? Auto Excellence, Collision Specialists, 631-261-6420. That's 631-261-6420. Auto Excellence.
Okay, we're back. Thank you guys again for generously giving your time to check out my show. I appreciate every one of my viewers. Please share it and let some more people listen to some of the things I have to say. So I saw this video, and I just saw it, but I think it was a couple of weeks ago, maybe longer, where a fan jumped the rails and speared Seth Rollins. This leads me to talk about fans getting involved in the matches. It usually doesn't end well. And I'll tell you about some of my experiences with that. And the differences, I think, between now and if that would have happened 20 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, that guy would have got his face smashed in. And not taking anything away from Seth at all. This is not about that. This is about the times now and the type of heat you can get, as opposed to, I heard Bully Ray said something about no heels got the balls to get the real heat that used to be able to get. I don't think it's able to be that way anymore. And I tell you why I say that is because, there used to be that question of whether it was 100% real or not. Now, obviously, no. Everybody is told, and the way things are done now, it's just not even trying to make anyone believe anything. So I can't make you mad at me if you know that I'm trying to make you mad. If I'm just playing a character and trying to be mean, say good stuff, as opposed to the type of heat that a guy had back in the day when it was legitimate. The people hated that person, that guy. They didn't like him. And heels now, you just can't get that kind of heat. They know you can't even, used to, if most of the time now, if a fan was up on the the gate and you drew back at him, they'd sell it. They wasn't sure if he was going to hit him or not. Nowadays, they know you're not going to touch them because they'll get sued. So my point in that was, so this guy, I don't think jumped in there with the intent of, I can't stand this Seth Rollins guy and I want to help that dude that he just beat, and boom. It's more these days, it was probably a dare. And I don't know this guy, I don't know all the circumstances around it, but to me it seems like with it being so much entertainment now and there's not the legit heat that you could get back in the day, they're jumping on you more as like the streaker jumping on the football field. They're jumping on you as, like I said, a dare to their buddies. It's not that I want to kill this son of a bitch heat. I just don't think that you can do that anymore. I just don't. I mean, I know there's some cuckoos out there that, legitimately, even you could tell them 1,000 times, hey, this is work, and, they'd still hate the person or, just mentally unstable usually. But that type of heat is just non-existent anymore. I don't think it's possible, but that's my opinion. But as far as my experiences with fans jumping in the ring, it was fair game. If they come in to blast them and they cross that line, it's jumping in the war zone, like they say. Not today, where Seth couldn't. I don't think if Seth would have gotten up after security grabbed him and started putting the boots to him, I think there was potential for lawsuit, because that's how today is. Even though this guy crossed the line, did something wrong, if it would have been like police brutality. Oh, Seth didn't have to do that. He was restrained, as to where back in the day, nobody would have given a shit. So first time it happens to me, and every one of these instances, I think, there was no security. It was you gotta remember, in the South too, it's a different fan in the South. This first time, Blytheville, Arkansas. And I think it was an Eddie Marlin show, or it could have been a Buddy Wayne, but I think it was Eddie Marlin, who is Jeff Jarrett's grandfather. So I go out to work Nightmare Danny Davis with Jamie at ringside, heel. So we're having a singles match, and Jamie's running his mouth on the floor. There's no barricade, there's no security. So Jamie's running his mouth to this guy that's in the front row with his wife, and says to the guy, "If that was my ugly old lady, I'd have left her at home." In that loud voice like he does. The whole place could hear it. I don't even think he had a mic, because it was a small venue. I think it was like an armory. And so the guy stands up out of the seat. Well, when he does that, Jamie has his back to the apron. I'm in the ring. I'm looking that way, but then Jamie jumps up on the apron with his back on the ropes, his face facing the guy, and the guy keeps coming. So when that happens, then Jamie steps into the ring. So he backs up further. Well, the guy starts coming into the ring now, and I think we're both about mid-ring. Now, I noticed this when I was a baby face. A lot of times people, when we would take Polaroids inside the ring with the fans during intermission, people don't necessarily know how to get in a ring real gracefully. So, and this is a common way that I've seen them do it, put their feet over the second rope and not duck down and put the other foot, so you're in the Harley Race springboard position, basically, which is what's fixing to happen here. So the top rope was in front of him, the bottom two ropes are behind him, and he's trying to do the limbo under the top rope to come at us. So I see that. I just reach over the top rope, grab his hair, pow, pow, pow. It was so just, I mean, he obviously wasn't rocking back and forth, but in my head I'm thinking the Harley Race spot. So Eddie runs out, or either Frank Morrell was the referee. He used to be a wrestler, big guy. Either Frank or Eddie or both grab this guy and start taking him out. So we're looking that way. I turn around and there is this, he had to be 80 years old, couldn't have been over 5'5", you know, standing in some overalls, had his hands in his pockets now, just standing, I mean, dead center ring, just standing there looking at us. So I'm thinking, I don't have the heart to hit this man, but I have to. And I'm thinking about it, and the only thing I can think to do, I just look at him in a little bit of sympathy. You better get out of the ring. And he just stands there. Now keep in mind, as I said, these Southern folks, man, they could have had a knife on him, anything. When this kind of stuff happens, that's what goes through your mind. Okay, who's fixing to shank me? So Jamie grabs the old man by the collar and throws him on the ground. And then the best part is he starts stomping him, but he's working stomping him. But I mean, obviously, you're gonna work and stomp, you're getting hit, and he's 80, so I mean, he's getting hit, but Jamie's just putting like the boots to him, just like that. I think this is hilarious. So that pisses another guy off. He sees us hit the old man, so he comes in. Well, Frank is back in the ring by this time, and Frank corners him, has the turnbuckles hooked, you know, and got his shoulder in his stomach area. And I seen that, and I just ran over, wham, hit him one time. Then they got him out of there. The old man got out of there. And unbelievably, we were able to finish this match. Danny was kind of playing, I got him, don't worry, I got him, don't worry, to keep more from coming in and to talk these people out. So finally he comes to me and starts taking over to get some of the heat off of me. And I don't remember if I think Eddie might have made Jamie leave the ring to kind of take care of that issue for the remainder of the match. But that was a wild one, and you just don't know. Like I said, that little old man, he looked harmless, but he could have stabbed me right in the gut. So it's a scary thing, and that was the first time it had ever happened. At that point, I was 19 or 18, 1, 2. And so it's rapid stuff going through your mind. You almost don't know what to do and just react on instinct. Now, like I said, had that scenario happened today, who knows what would have happened. I mean, they had no security. Somebody probably would have got sued for improper something on that. And, you know, maybe me and Jamie for, you know, hitting somebody, you know, when we weren't actually hit first, but we just knew if the fans come in, you whoop their ass. So the next time, let's see here. Oh yeah. So we're coming to the ring in Louisville. I think this was after WWE, but we were still doing the Nation Domination USWA version. And I took a bump, and in Louisville it was awesome because the police there were cool as they could be with the guys. They were so cool with us. Dean Hill was the ring announcer. He was a former police officer, very high ranking. So all the police there were really cool. So I take a bump and I stumble, hit the railing, and so I'm sitting on my butt with my back against the rail, the bike rail, people behind me. So I'm sitting there selling for a minute, and all of a sudden I feel whoosh all over my head, and the immediate smell of the beer. So this dude had stood up and taken his full beer. I talked about this on my first episode. I got a beer thrown in my face coming down the ramp at Raw. Why you want to buy a beer? Throw it at me. So he stands up and just dumps it on my head. So at the time that I realized, the police were so quick, and this guy was like in the front row, and they don't stand necessarily right there at the ring. I don't think they were. Maybe they had to be. But as I stood up and turned around thinking, I'm fixing to blast somebody, and I wasn't holding back. And when I turned around, there was two of them there. They each had an arm. So this guy is standing there fully exposed as I'm turning around ready to swing, and I right with him in the cop's arms. And guess what? They took his ass out of there and didn't say a word to me. Like, man, you can't be doing, nothing. He started it. So, at any rate, and then the craziest one, and this one is actually, it's on YouTube. It's called the Mississippi Riot. The footage is horrible, and it doesn't really tell the whole story that I'm telling here because of the camera, and you can't really see, and it doesn't get all of the stuff. It doesn't get everything. But so we're in, I think this is Corinth, Mississippi. Again, no security there. So Jamie, it's me, Jamie, Brickhouse Brown, and a guy named Atomic Dog, another black guy. And this does play into the story by me describing the color of Atomic Dog, who was my friend. This is an 8-man tag. We're the heels. Babyfaces have not come to the ring yet. Very small, again, army, but it's fucking packed, okay? And Jamie does his mic work. Well, there's a guy standing in the very back who's holding a biracial child. This he's white. Jamie says to the guy, this ain't the only thing he said, but this is what starts it. He said, "Hey, redneck, looks like Brickhouse snuck into your house." And man, you could just feel everyone in the place go, ooh. And even the reaction was just, it was hatred. It was hatred. And this guy's he's probably in his 50s, looked probably a little older than that. But he puts the child down, and from the back, now he was standing in the aisle, so he had a straight shot. He comes running, I'll say running, jogging, coming, speeding up. And then, he sees us all kind of square up, like, oh, he's coming in here. So he falls down, and I'm not sure whether, in fact, I am pretty sure that he didn't have any sort of health issue. I think that when he saw the 4 guys he was fixing to jump in on, whether it be 4 guys on 1 guy, no matter if you're wrestlers or pussies, it's not, the odds ain't that good. So I think he fell down. And he started shaking like he was having a heart attack or convulsion or something. So that starts it right there. Jamie, I think, said something else like, "Ha, come on, man." And then all I know is then there was 1 guy in the ring, and Brickhouse was on it, and it just, all of a sudden, man, it was like mayhem. It was like people were screaming out there, like, trying to get away. It was weird and scary at the same time, because again, when you're 4 guys in the ring against a crowd of how many ever 100 there was, 200-300 probably at that place, and it's just mayhem, and all eyes are on you because you and your guy just said something really jacked up to this guy. Now he's having health issues. So I remember a big guy getting in the ring. 2 would come in, then all of a sudden this big guy gets in, and this is mayhem. It's hard to remember the sequence of events, but there's the big things that stand out. This big son of a bitch is in the ring. I turn around and see that, because it's like this, and I see this dude, and I didn't run, but I came and I had a little distance between us, and he didn't see me. He's a big old corn-fed dude in his overalls, and I hit him in the side of the head, and he didn't really register it even. I thought, son of a bitch. And then Dog carried one of those logging chains, and he hit him in the face with it. I think somebody hit him with it. I don't know. It was so much mayhem. And like I said, even when I watch the video back, it's hard to see everything that's going on. You do see a chair. There's one point where I turn, and from the 3rd row, somebody tossed a folding chair, and it caught me right there in the mouth. I still got the scar from that, but it busted my chin open right there. And it was just total mayhem. And I'm telling you, that's not a fun situation to be in, because again, you don't know what somebody's gonna do, man. Especially if they think, oh, these guys, you know, done turned it real against our community, you know. The big guy, he eventually rolled out of the ring. He just got out of there. I mean, his face was not the same shape it was when it came in, but nobody knocked him out, I'll tell you that. He took his shots. So eventually the baby faces, and all this happens pretty quick, okay? I'm giving it to you in my head, in my memory. The baby faces come and start telling the people again, we got him, and grab us and start hitting us to the back. Ain't no way we're doing this match. You know, this has gotten way out of control. We got to get to the back and get out of here. So that's what happened. They nailed us. Back to the dressing room, where we stayed for quite a while till that, you know, the show was over. That was the last match, and till the people were gone, we made sure there was nobody out waiting with no guns or nothing like that. And if I recall, the police came, I'm sure. But that was a wild one. They get crazy in the South. They used to, even though down in the South, it's changed now. It's harder to get the heat that you once could get. I'm gonna talk about one. This was nobody really got involved in this one, but it was just showing the amount of heat that we could get in the South, especially if you knew what you were doing. I love that, man. I love it. Because like when we go up to ECW, you know, we do our thing with the Southern guys versus the, you know, and some of the fans really, it's a different sort of fan up there. They appreciate you and they'll boo you, but at the same time, you do something really good, they're gonna, good job. When you can't do a good job for people in the South that used to not, when that real heat was there, that real heat. So I'm working Lawler in another spot show down there. This one was super packed. It was standing room only, but again, another small venue. It was just the spot shows that we did around our major towns, okay? This one did have police presence, because they're the ones that had. So as Lawler's coming to the ring, I'm already in there, you know, I had decent heat. We didn't have any kind of angle or anything, but he's the king. And I was, you know, established heel down there. So this kid, and this is the part that I'm having trouble really remembering how this, I want to say it was, and I remember it was a brown, like a knit hat, okay? Now, whether this, because Lawler's not the type that would have come out and grabbed the boy's hat and put it on and dance with him or anything like that. So I can't remember how this boy's hat got into play. I want to say either the little kid give it to him, or I don't remember. But it was this little kid's hat, and Lawler was being kind, I think, taking it. And this boy was probably 9 years old, I'm gonna guess. Maybe 8, 9. Somewhere in that area. So Lawler tells me, you know, we started, well, whatever. He tells me to get that hat, okay? Because it was like over in his corner. And that's why I just can't remember how it came into play, but I know it belonged to the little boy. And maybe it was like a gift to his hero or something. So I get the hat, and he's telling me to smother him with it. So we work just an old, slow, Memphis, I'm hiding what I got from the referee bullshit, but the people think I am smothering him to death because I got him down. But the factor here is I've got this little boy's hat that he gave to his hero and killing him with it. This little boy, he's up on the ring, okay? All the people were, and that's why I can't remember if the cops got there later or not. I want to say there was another no security thing because people were definitely up against the ring. And I mean, and I'm working it, and I'm not giving up. You know, I'm not that heel that would have backed off from the heat. This little boy starts crying. I mean, crying tears, and it infuriates the rest of the people. It infuriates them because I'm still doing it. I'm still looking at him. making fun of him crying. Now, some people might say, especially today, always go back to that I went a little too far there. But I see kind of what Bubba's talking about. But I didn't want them to like me. I got off on the fact that they hated my guts at that moment because that was my job. That was my job, to make you hate me, not to make you like me. I didn't have to do any cool moves in that match. I basically just had to smother Lawler, keep doing it, keep working until he made his comeback and beat me, which took off a little bit of that heat, because then he could go out, condole, the child. And even though them people, that's why I say there was police or somebody, because they had to get me through the crowd to get to the dressing room after that. Even though the heat died down once he beat me, and once he hugged the kid and all that good stuff. The heat died down right there, but I wasn't afraid to push it as far as I could push it. Now, had I ended up beating him, it would have been maybe a different story of how I got out of there. But it's just different between now and then. And it was so much fun then to me to either be that over, where they really believed in you and believed you was whooping somebody's ass, or they hated you so bad that they wanted to see you just get killed. That was awesome. We're going to be back. We're going to take another break, and got some more special stuff for you.
Hi, it's Josh from Under the Table Hot Sauce. I'm here with my friend, the star of the show, Jimmy Farrow.
Yeah, what's up, JB?
Nah, nothing.
It's been a hot summer, and for all your barbecue needs, you can go to underthetablehotsauce.com. 13 unique flavors to choose from, created and bottled in a Long Island kitchen. Underthetablehotsauce.com. Let's go chow, JB.
Let's do it.
All the flavor, twice the burn. M&J Video Games and Collectibles. Sport and non-sport cards, wrestling items, autographed items. We buy, sell, and trade. M&J Video Games and Collectibles, located at 1049 Queen Street, Southington, Connecticut. Call us at 1-860-479-9223 or 860-93-GAMES. M&J Video Games and Collectibles.
Christmas time, I want to show a little love. I know we've had some issues back and forth, so I want to talk to you. But first, give me just 1 second. Y'all know what that means. Dear.
Yes, baby.
What are you doing?
Decorating the Christmas tree.
Oh, that looks nice. Will you get his present for me? And we'll meet you on the couch.
Can do.
Present? Yeah, man. Oh, I'm not falling for this. I ain't falling for this. I seen that Bugs Bunny show with the guy that would always give the present, and then it would blow up in their face, and their hair would stand up, and their face was all black and stuff. Nope. Jamie, I am trying to show you some Christmas spirit, so just come with me, man. You got you a present. You want to say hi? Hi, kitty. What? Do cats not like you, or is it just dogs? Because, see, we don't feed him poop sandwiches. Rawr.
Okay, Binks, you can go now.
Well, let's get to this present you said you got me. You want to open it for him?
Sure.
See, I'm not a bad guy. We can still be brothers, man. That's what it's all about in Christmas season.
You Mr. Wrap this double tape.
Come on, lady. This better be good. Diamond Sparkle's having a little trouble there. What kind of bullshit is this? No, what do you mean? I got you a little elf on a shelf because you're going to be sitting on the shelf too. So I thought you might want a little company while you're up there. Man, Wolfie, I know you mean well. I know you do. Well, you know, you should love your present first of all, but you should also love your family. You said I was your brother, man. You said I was your brother. Merry Christmas, Jeremy. Merry Christmas, Wolfie. Oh. Folks, I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas too. From me and Diamond Sparkles, we just want to say Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year. See ya.